Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Writings on the Wall. And on the actual video itself, I actually wrote in the comment section, the last warnings are going out. Listen good. And, everything is out in the open. There's nothing that's hidden. There's nothing that we've, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, there's nothing that we've held back from any of you out there. Everything that we've, that we've learned through the years, from the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, we've committed unto you. We've gave you the whole enchilada, so to speak. There's nothing that is lacking, as far as the teachings are concerned, because we've given you everything, and we've expressed over the years how important prophecy is, and you're seeing right now and witnessing, the prophecies popping off, all over the place. And you brothers that were, blessed by the Lord to come into the knowledge during the YouTube era, you've been very blessed. Although you've gone through your ups and downs, your hells, your trials and tribulations, which is the rite of passage and its truth, you've been, fortunate through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and blessed to be able to do the ministry while the prophecies were actually springing forth, and especially those that are coming in around this time that are part of the elect. You're fortunate through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai to be alive and to be teaching His word in a time when the prophecies are flourishing, and are pretty much everywhere. A blind man can see, that what the scriptures are speaking about. I'm being a little facetious with it, but truthful, because the evidence is overwhelming on what the MOTB is. The evidence is overwhelming on the amassing of these militaries and armies over there in the Middle East. The tensions, whether made up or not, are echoing all throughout the planet that the end is here, and it's speaking loud and clear. And we're going to start off with that precept that just popped up in my mind in the book of Habakkuk, a basic building block fundamental scripture. But before we go to that, it says here, the writing on the wall. And the writings on the wall. So what I did was I put in the writings on the wall, meaning it says there are clear signs that something unpleasant or unwelcome is going to happen. Right. Something unpleasant and unwelcome to the non-believers, to the scoffers, to the ones that are comfortable in this world. But it's not unpleasant or unwelcome to us, because we know that these things must come to pass, because before the kingdom can be established, the old rulerships have to be taken down, beginning with Esau's rulership, Then you see here, it says, check this out, this is heavy. The writing was on the wall for the old system. That's a title for a lesson right there. The old system, So E's the old system. So the writing was on the wall for the old system. So the system of E, the way that he established rulership upon the planet Earth by wicked means, is speaking loud and clear right now. The writing is on the wall, ushering in, that this place is finished. No matter how you slice it, everything is falling apart. And like I said, there's certain things that they're manipulating behind the scenes, but that can't go without saying that it's the Most High Yahweh that's manipulating and making them do these things. Because whatever he's doing it because the Most High got him doing it. So whatever moves he makes, whatever maneuvers he makes, whatever curves come down the line, down the pike, where you think like, damn, we thought that's all the Lord setting it up. Remember, you have to have wars, rumors of wars. A rumor is what? It's not something. It's something that's being spoken about, this particular thing happening, but it doesn't necessarily have to be happening at that moment. But there's signs that these things are going to pop off. So Habakkuk 2, I started 1, the point is in 3. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved, right? And the job of the prophets is to watch, and when they witness anything, any change in world events that pertain to prophecy, their job is to spring forth and to bring it out and blow that trumpet. So it says, and the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Why? Because it needs to be made clear, because the Lord made it clear to us, and we're making it clear to them. Who's them? Who's them? Talking about to Esau, the other nations, and to 2/3 of Jake. So make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. So there's going to be some that hear and get themselves together, do whatever they got to do, try to get their house in order, to the best of their ability. If their household doesn't want to listen, they bring it, they have to deal with it on their own, But at the end of the day, they're getting prepared for what's coming, because they see things coming, they believe it. So therefore, they're looking to find out what is the best solution for me to be able to be delivered and protected in these days. What do I have to do? And this is why the Apostle Peter said, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. Because all the brothers and the few sisters that have woken up to this truth, it wasn't by chance or by choice. It's a guiding light that guided us to this point, to where we're at. And Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, through the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, for that. All right, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. An appointed time means a set date. If you have an appointment, that means that when the day comes for you to show up for that appointment, you had already put that, in writing, or made a reservation prior to this particular date. So the Lord said the vision, or these prophecies, are for an appointed time. Let's look up this word, appointed time. The word there is mawa'id, right, which means time. Appointment, place, appointed time, meeting. Appointed sign or signal. And that's why it gives us certain things, and some of it is, a lot of it is allegorical, but we have to, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, he said the Lord will do nothing but he revealeth the secret unto his servants, the prophets. So we're supposed to take those things that we learn, and those different mysteries and different allegories and symbolisms in the scriptures, and bring it out, plainly as to what they mean, because now they're made clear. Like it says in 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, that the truth shall be declared. The word declare, de is of, and clear is clear. Of, clear, or to make clear. So that is our job, to make it clear what these things are. So when they come, those that prepared themselves, beautiful. Those that didn't prepare themselves, it sucks for them. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. So there's going to come a particular point in time where these things are going to start to awaken. Matter of fact, oh man, Barakatah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Another precept just came to mind, which is in the same book. This book of Habakkuk is a very deep book. So it says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So there's going to come a point where these things are going to awaken. Habakkuk 3:1, a prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech. See, that's why Yahweh said is blessed is he that can hear. You know, he that hath ears to hear, let him hear. And was afraid. Why? Because the things that are coming are terrible. The day of the Lord is a very terrible day for everybody, because it's going to be very traumatizing. But the difference is that the elect will be happy, even though they'll be affrighted because of the terror of the Lord, but they'll be happy because they're going to be delivered. It says, and was afraid, O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. Why do you have to revive it? Because it was already spoken. Once the word is spoken, it's alive, but it's just laying dormant. It's sleeping for a certain period of time. So at a certain time, when it gets to activation code, then it starts and it wakes back up and moves forward with its mission. And that's the prophecies. So we look up this word revive. The word there is chayah, which is the Hebrew word for life. Like you'll see pendants that'll say l'chaim, that means to life or for life. So the word chayah comes from two words, chawa, chayah, to live, have life, remain alive, sustain life, live prosperously, live forever, be quickened. Right, and this can also be used in the sense of the word, which is a living entity, entering into the minds of the elect, revives them. Just like that defibrillator that they hit you with. You know, when someone stops breathing and they hit you with that shock of electricity, and then sometimes it takes and the person comes back to life. Well, this is what the word does. Be alive, be restored to life or health. Let's see. There's a lot. To quicken, revive, refresh. So the word of the Lord, right, goes out and the Lord holds it back. So it's like when, what is that? When the video is buffering, right? The video is buffering. Sometimes you hit refresh or sometimes it refreshes on its own. So that's what the Lord is doing. At a certain point, that word is going to be refreshed or revived. So it says, O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years, right? Because now it's time to work. Let me see. Let me see if this comes up. Here we go. Psalms 119 and 126. It is time for thee, O Yahweh Bashem Shai, to work. For they have made void thy law. So it's time to get busy on these people, these hard-headed, no good for nothing people out in the world. These devils, these Edomites, these nations, and these boneheaded Israelites out here. So it said, it is time for thee, O Lord, to work, for they have made void thy law. So pretty much, this is the time. It's time to revive thy works in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make known what? Your prophecies. Make known your word. Make known your works. Make known your name, so that the righteous can run into it and be safe. In wrath, remember mercy. And this is very key. Even when we say our prayers, Lord, bring destruction upon this place. But in that destruction, remember mercy upon us, your servants. So this is very deep. And it goes even deeper and deeper, because this goes into the chariots coming, delivering the elect, and also into World War III. When you read further down, there's certain parts that speak about the destruction, the devastation, you know. But we're going to go back to Habakkuk 2, read this again. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, because the Most High does not lie. Though it tarry, though it seem like it's taken a while, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Even the prophet Daniel said that. He said because of the word is sure or something like that. The vision is sure, you know. So it's already set in motion. We're just waiting for all of the, different prophecies, which we're seeing right now, be fully fulfilled, because they're speaking. We're just waiting for the full final fulfillment of all of them, because at the end of it all, that's when Yahweh Shai cracks them clouds. All right. So going from there to Daniel chapter 5, this is a very good chapter, because Yahweh Shai said, as in the days of Noah, as it was in the days of Lot, remember Lot's wife. What were they doing? They were feasting. They were having a good time, marrying, giving in marriage, eating, drinking, doing all type of manner of evil and wickedness. And what happened? That one faithful day came where they were destroyed. Well, this is what was going on here. This is Belshazzar's feast, which Belshazzar was the king regent, or the king's regent, meaning he was put in charge by his father, because at one point his father, Nebuchadnezzar, I believe his name was captured and put in prison for, I believe it was like 10 years. And I believe even when he was released, he was still doing certain whatever campaigns, I believe, I forget exactly all the details, and his son was still in charge under the behest of his father. So it says, Daniel 5:1, Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. So in other words, they just didn't have a care in the world. It says Belshazzar he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple, which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein, right? At the behest of the Lord's holy vessels. Today we could apply this to the Israelites, and they are drinking from us. That's why, what is it, Isaiah 51 or 59, it says that you shall no longer lay down your bodies, something like that, for them to walk over, or something like that. The dogs lick the sores, of Lazarus. And that's what these nations are doing. This was actually physical, but we could apply this to the Israelites being those vessels and them pretty much misusing them, being drunk off of them. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of the Most High, which was set at Jerusalem, and the king and the princes, his wives and his concubines, and drank in them. So with the boldness that this devil had, this son of one of the kings of Babylon, he did this. He committed this act. And this is what they're doing right now with the children of the Lord. They're preparing for mass death. They're preparing for mass, implantation, so that the servants of the Lord can become his servants permanently. And that's pretty much the sentiment. I was watching this video. I forgot the name of the guy. A brother just sent it to me, and he was going into it, how they pretty much want everybody to be dependent on Big Brother, dependent on them for everything. This is why they set the stage up for everything to be, to put people in a very desperate state, so that they can look to the government for help. Yep, that's a precept right there. But let me read this one first, since the brother put this up. Psalms 9:19, arise, O Lord, let no man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight. And they will be judged. That was very good precept. This is it right here. Isaiah 51:22, thus saith the Lord, and thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling. Right. And that's when the Lord delivers us. That's when the cup of trembling will be taken out of the way. That's why it says the captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed. and that he should not die in the pit. And even the dregs of the cup of my fury, thou shalt no more drink it again, right? Because affliction shall not arise a second time. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, right? The daughters of Edom, all right? Which have said to thy soul, bow down that we may go over, right? And this is the pretty much a sentiment that they have, because we to them are nothing but servants and slaves, serfs, entertainment, the help, nothing more, It says, and thou hast laid thy body as the ground, as the street, to them that went over. So we can use that somewhat in a sense spiritually, of how this devil Belshazzar took the holy vessels of the Lord, which were actual drinking vessels and pouring vessels, and used them for their party, for their service. And they drank wine and praised the gods of gold. And this is what they're doing. This is what Esau's doing with his New World Order, so that they can praise their God. It says, and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour, because remember, these are gods, plural, of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. And what Esau's trying to do is he's trying to create this religion, one world religion, that incorporates all religions into it. So that's pretty much what they were doing right here. No matter what his lords and him worshipped, they put it all on the line, and they said, we drinking to all these, pretty much we praising all of these gods. Your Marduks and your Molechs and your, Dagons and your Ashtoreths and your Baals and your Baal Yums and all of that. And all of those other Yums. It says, while this was going on, this feasting, in the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand. There was a big, dark-skinned hand that came out and started writing on the wall. When you type this in, right, on Google Images, let's see if I still have it. Nope, I don't. Let's see. Hand writing on the wall. Let me see Bible. Let's see what happens. Let's go to images. Right. See that? See what these devils do? Everybody's white. The hand is white. The so-called white red. But this was a big, dark-skinned hand that came out and started writing these things on the wall. All right? One of those big ass, leper's hand writing on the wall. And notice he got the left hand writing. Anyways, going back. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote, and the king's countenance was changed. And that's what's going to happen when this whole system goes topsy-turvy. Because, let me see if it'll come up like this. What scripture is that? That's Jeremiah. Right. Jeremiah 50 and 43. The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them. Matter of fact, let's go back. Let's actually go to it. Right. Jeremiah 50 and 41. Behold, the people shall come from the north, which are the Russians and their allies, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. Right. Even their own allies among the European unions and NATO are going to come against this hoe. They shall hold the bow and the lance. That's dealing with their military. That's dealing with actually with their missiles. The bow and the lance, these are missiles. They are cruel because they have no feelings and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea. Right, remember that noisome pestilence in the book of Daniel. The heavens shall pass away with a great noise or something like that in the book of 2 Peter. And they shall ride upon horses, which is power, everyone put in array like a man to the battle, right? Because they're going to be set up in battle array because they're coming to do battle because they are the Lord's army, these missiles, against thee, O daughter of Babylon. And this is what's going to bring the final devastation of this place. This is why once this place is destroyed, there will be nothing left. You're not going to have anything to build with because there's not going to be anything here. It's going to be a plain. It's going to be totally flat and burning everywhere by the time the Lord finished with this place. The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, of what? Of these missiles. And what? And his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. That's why I said, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, and they shall not be able to put it off. So they're going to be nervous, just like when that big black hand, so I had to say it like that, Salaki, I know it's a big dark brown skin hand, but when that big chocolate hand came out and started writing on the wall, this individual here, this king of Babylon, he pretty much his countenance changed. He went from that festive state to, oh shit, what the hell, pretty much that giddy, merry, drunkard state that he was in. All of a sudden he lost his high, as they say, right? It says, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed. Yeah, because prior to that, he was bold, he was strong, he was manly and masculine and, and bold, and all of a sudden that masculinity got loosed. And his knees smote once against another, right? He went into like a tailspin of terror and fear, So he was there with his lords, they hoes, they was sipping, they was feeling good, and they commanded, the vessels of the Lord to be brought forth, and they were still popping off and doing whatever, and all of a sudden this big dark-skinned hand came out the fourth dimension and started writing on the wall, and he just like, oh shit, like what the, It says, yep, that's a good one too. Wow. Salaki, brothers, I'm just going to read this one. Isaiah 13:7. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. That's right. That goes good with Luke 21. Men's hearts failing them for fear. Job 18:11. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. Right, when you're driven to your feet, meaning you're alert. Something got your attention. It says, his strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. Right, and that's why he's going to be nervous, as we read here for the king of Babylon. Right, so here, his knees smote one against another. All right, so then, he's called the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the wise men of the day to interpret this writing that was written on the wall. And they couldn't find anybody. So eventually somebody said that, Daniel can interpret the vision, so they brought Daniel in. And when we get down to the nitty gritty of it, 5:24, it says, then was the part of the hand sent from him, and his writing was written. And this is the writing that was written, many, many tekel upharsin. So this is where you get the famous phrase, the handwriting is on the wall. Right here, and this is the writing that was written. There's different parts in here that they get that phrase from. The handwriting is on the wall. And when you look up the definition of it, it says there are clear signs that something unpleasant or unwelcome is going to happen. And then here it says the writing was on the wall for the old system. In other words, there were many signs that the old system was finished. But sometimes people don't take heed to those things. See, and this old system of E is about to be taken out because it's obsolete. All right. So it goes on to say, this is the interpretation of the thing. Many, the Most High hath what? Hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. When we go to Job 14:5, right? It says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So he can't pass the time that was given to him, and he can't pass the boundaries that were given to him. You know, he was given, you know, you know, where you have the satellites, you know, the heavens there. They were given the seas, they were given land, but they could only go so far, expand so far. And they were given a set amount of time, and they could only go so far with that time. This is why the disciples asked the Lord, let me get this. I don't want to forget this precept. And then more than likely go back. All right. Matthew 24:3. This is why the disciples asked the Lord this question. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Because they were starting to kind of somewhat understand what the Lord was saying when he had to leave. He was going to be betrayed. You know, he had to die and come back. So they started kind of getting a little bit of the understanding, even though it wasn't clear. So they asked him, what is the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? And when you read this word world in the Koine Greek, which some individuals scorn at, you know, they just can't fix it in their mind to look up words in the original language that these manuscripts are written in. They rather, you know, scoff at it and saying that you can't prove your doctrine in the English. You have to go to the Paleo Hebrew and to the Koine Greek. Yeah, because those are the languages that they were originally written in. So why not go to the source? Why go to a secondary or third or fourth, you know, source when you can go to the actual source? These are things written that reference the source. So why not go to the source and reference the source, you know, so you can get a better understanding and a clearer understanding of what is meant. So that word there for word is the word eon. And there are 4 different Greek words for the word world in the English. This is why you have to be able to go back to the original language to see what word is written there to get the understanding of what is meant by what is written. Because you could read the word world, you type in the word world, right? Type in the word world, right? Now, this one, they won't allow you to do it. It's almost 400 times in the Old and the New Testament. But which is funny because you should be able to do it here. Right, no, here, it's right here. New Testament, right? We'll just go to the New Testament for the word world. Search. 246 times. So out of the almost 400 times, almost 300 of them appear in the New Testament. So 246 times in the New Testament for the word world. And there are differences in world. That's why you have to understand what was written there originally so you can know, okay, this means this and this means that. That's the whole purpose of interpretation. So when we go back, the word eon means an uninterrupted rule. Like when you go back in the history that we could do now, you have Sumeria, right? You had ancient Babylon. You had ancient Egypt. You had the Assyrian Empire. You had the Babylonian Empire. You had the Medo-Persian Empire. And all of those empires had empires on their own, and some of them merged together in process of time. You had the Greek Empire. You had the Roman Empire, so on and so forth. All of those empires had a beginning, and they had an end. So that from the beginning to the end of that rulership period, that is an age. So it's uninterrupted rule. Now, in the case of the heavens, you have the so-called zodiac, which you have a righteous positive side to it, and you also have a wicked negative side to it. But in the case of the 12 zodiacs, which are biblical, depending on how you use it, you have a period of, let me see something. Let me go to all. Time period from let's see, from what is that called? I don't want to put horoscope. Zodiac signs. Let's see if this comes up. Okay, here we go. How long does each zodiac age last? 2,160 years. I knew it was 2,000 something, but I couldn't remember the exact. So 2,160 years, that is the time when one so-called zodiac, as they call it, to the next one. Then once that one ends, the next one comes in to rule for that period of time. Then once that 2,160 years ends, then comes the next one, and the next one, and the next one, so on and so forth. In the case of on the earth itself, you have a period or an age, which is a rulership or uninterrupted rule of particular empires. And that's what the disciples asked the Lord when they asked him this question: when shall be the sign of that coming and of the end of the world? Meaning the end of the world of the Roman Empire. So it says forever, an unbroken age, perpetuity of time, eternity. It doesn't mean eternity. It means an unbroken age. And it doesn't mean perpetuity of time, because there's a certain period of time where one rules and another one, and then he's taken down and another one comes in. The Lord is the one that sets up the different rulerships. The Lord sets up one and takes down another. It doesn't mean the worlds. It doesn't mean the universe. Period of time. This is it. Period of time. And this word eon is synonymous with the Hebrew word ayalam, I believe it is, and it's also synonymous with the Latin word seculi, which is where you get the word secular, which is a period. All right, I believe it's ayalam for the Hebrew. So if any brother, if I'm off on that, Babakusha, put it on the comment section. I believe it's the word ayalam. No, that's ayalam. That's young. Iwalam. There we go. Iwalam. The word is Iwalam, which is an age. Okay. Let's see the elder. Put the scripture. I mean, not scripture. He said there are 3 words for the word world in the Spanish Bible. Check that out. New Testament as well. Siglo, right? Which is siglo is where you get the word seculi or secular, which is age, which is synonymous with the word eon, which is also synonymous with the word iwalam. La tierra, earth, which is where you get gay or gi or geo, and then mundo, which is world, that's the entire world. Then you have the word cosmos, which they didn't put. The word cosmos means an organization, and so that's why it's important to understand the differences in the words in their original language, so you can understand when you read a particular scripture. Oh, this is what the Lord meant when He used this particular word "world" or this particular word "mark." All right. And then He began to give the disciples, different things that would happen. So before we get into that, let's go back to Job 14:5. Seeing His days are determined, the number of His months are with Thee. Thou hast appointed His bounds that He cannot pass. So when the Lord appoints His bounds that He cannot pass, It says here, Job 21:19, the Most High layeth up his iniquity for his children, right? Because they're going to pay for the iniquity of their forefathers, because they are their forefathers that committed those things in another life. He rewardeth him, and he shall know it. His eyes shall see his destruction, right? Because we're at the point now where their destruction is imminent. It's speaking loud and clear, but they're just not willing to accept it, because just like the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, he's hardening these devils' heart, the modern day Pharaoh. And he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty, which is that judgment that's coming, which is in the form of the nuclear missiles and the lasers from the chariots, and them seeing their kingdom being taken over by Yahushai, by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and eventually the Israelites. It says, for what pleasure hath he in his house after him, because that's after the destruction, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst. Because when they're about to eat, which we're at that point now, then the Lord is going to cast the fury of his wrath upon them when they're about to eat. So this is the point that we're at. So this is why it says that Esau is the end of the world, meaning the end of the age, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me pull up this right quick, and let's go to 2nd Ezra's chapter 6. Chapter 6 and verse, what is that, 9? Esau is the end of the world. Is that 8? Right. Finis, which is end, enim, huis, seculi, Esau, see? Et principium, which is principle or first or next, sequentis, Jacob. All right, so we go to seculi. That's the Greek way of saying eon. A race, generation. See, this is what we're dealing with. Generation. A race, not as far as nation is concerned, but a race meaning as far as running a race. Generation. See, age. The people of any time. You see? So it's in particular age. And you can see here seculi, Latin. Let's see Greek. Let me see. Go. Nah, that's not correct. Because in Greek it should be eon. So you get the idea. So going back to Job 21:21, for what pleasure hath he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst. So when we go back to Daniel 5:26, this is the interpretation of the thing. Many, the Most High has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. So we're coming down to the Lord is putting the finishing touches on E's kingdom. Yeah, that's a lesson right there. The Lord is putting the finishing touches on E's kingdom. It says, Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances. Right, because you said you're so-called Christian. You said that in God you trust. You said that America was established upon Christian principles. You said that in 1983, America, the Bible was the supreme. I forget how they put it. I forgot how does that go? In 1983, the Bible was something. I forget exactly how they put it. So you're saying all of these things. But when you're weighed in the balance, your actions are weighed in the balance compared to the words that came out of your mouth and what you made the world to believe, you're lacking. It says here, and are found wanting, because you came up short, homeboy. Just to put it in the vernacular of of the hood. You came up short, homeboy. Let me see something. Because the Lord wants his payments, man, you know? And you coming up short, sucker. So you better have, because the Lord, when he come back, he want all his money. Come short. Fall to reach a goal or standard. Now, you know, if you have, you know, businesses, you know, you have certain expectations that you have to meet, right? And if you come up short, what happens? Eventually you get clipped from that position because you are not worthy of that position, because you are an unjust steward. So the Lord, when he comes back, he wants all his money. And you coming up short, homeboy, to fall to reach or fail to reach a goal or standard. Let's see. Oh, here go the researcher, GMSOI, the elder Gabar Yahawada. In the United States, 1983 was designated as the National Year of the Bible by President Ronald Reagan by Proclamation 5018. And on February 3, 1983, at the annual National Prayer Breakfast, wait a minute, hold it now, President Reagan was authorized and requested to so designate 1983. Was authorized and requested to designate 1983 by Public Law 97-280, Senate Joint Resolutions 165-96 Stat. Right. It was actually 1983. The Bible was the law of the land, Ronald Reagan. It was actually 1983. But, you know, that's what I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. So that's the law of the land, right? So you coming up short, homeboy, on all levels. This is why the scriptures speak about that he spoke blasphemous words or something like that. You know? So going back here, well, let's see what else we had. Oh, let's continue on. Because we read that Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Perish, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Why? Because that was the next succession or the next age to take over. So now, what is the age that's coming? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And of that kingdom, there shall be no end. Hold it now. You know what? What is that? Isaiah 45. 17. It says, but Israel shall be saved in the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end, meaning age without end. This particular age will have no end. The saints of the kingdom shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So there's not going to be any, set time for the Lord's kingdom. It's going to be everlasting. That's what everlasting life is all about. Beautiful. Ecclesiasticus 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings, Esau. Injuries, Esau. And riches got by deceit, Esau. The kingdom is translated from one people, Esau, to another, Israel. It's easy. All right. So going back here, 2 Ezra 9:1, these are signs, because Yahushua gave signs to the disciples of what to expect or what to look for. That's why I said, when you see these things, look up, for your salvation draweth near. You know? So we're at that time, even though Salakia, shit is getting hard, you know, all different type of things bros is dealing with, we all dealing with. Still time to lift up our heads, because our redemption draweth nigh. So 2 Ezra 9:1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. Right? Why? Because there was, everything is set up in time. Time and chance happeneth to all men. Everything is set up at a time, a purpose, an age, Everything is in order. There's nothing out of order. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And these signs are for us to see and be like, you know what? This is what the Lord said. Yep, this is the scripture I was thinking about too. The water, brother. I couldn't think of the saying. Ecclesiastes 3:1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. The water, brother, right on time. I thought of, but I couldn't think of the words. So these are things that would happen to show us that we're at the very end. That's why the name of the lesson is that the writings on the wall. And we read over here what meant by the writings on the wall. There are clear signs that something unpleasant or unwelcome is going to happen. Yeah, unpleasant and unwelcome to the world, to the nations, to 2/3 of Jake here in America, and to the unbelieving Israelites around the world, but not to the elect. This is the elect's expectation, to actually see and witness all these things happening so that they can also be delivered. So it says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and we see this going on all over the planet. They're not reporting everything that's going on, but over there in China, they was having a good old time. The government and the rest of them, higher up devils, they was slapping the people around pretty much. But now it's to the point where the people's like, nah, fuck this. They starting to revolt. These are uproars. If this is what Yahushua spoke about, then shall thou. This is why it's going to have to get to a point where they're going to have to get physical. It says, then shall thou well understand. Why? Because of the prophecies speaking that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Even from the beginning. It says, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, right? Everything you see has a beginning. That's why it says, better is the ending of the thing than the beginning. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings in what? In effects and signs. That's why all of these signs and effects that we see are important. These different solar eclipses and the lunar eclipses and the solar eclipses and all of these different signs in the heavens, so-called shooting stars, comets, or whatever they call them. All of these things are all part of those signs, but also earthquakes and uproars of the people and the famines and everything that you see happening. Instability, financial instability, people going out of their minds. Pestilences. That's another key one. Right, the brother just put red sky in Oregon. Red waters in certain places. These are all the Euphrates drying up, Tigris drying up. Right, brother put Ohio River and Mississippi River drying up. Right. It says, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby you have believed shall be preserved from the said perils and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Yeah, because the Lord is going to bring us back to that land. So all that flea doctrine is all bullshit. All right, yeah, this is a good precept. Read this from the brother. The brother put 30 plus tornadoes in Alabama, I think the brother meant to put. Yeah, this is good. This is a good one here. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his rising, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. Yep. And then this one here, where was it? right here. Ecclesiastes 3:17. I said in mine heart, the Most High shall judge the righteous and the wicked. For there is a time for every purpose and for every work. Right. That's why the righteous are going to get salvation and the wicked are going to get destruction. All right. So that's pretty much it. So now let's go from there to 2 Ezra 6:20. It says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished. So here it is. The Lord has given us all of these signs, handwritings on the wall, because we're seeing these things playing out. Signs, effects, tokens, everything that we see going on in the world, dealing with the MOTB, the infrastructure, the blatant digital takeover. Ease digital takeover. That's another title for a lesson. Ease digital takeover. All of these things, are playing out on the planet, showing us that we're at the very end. Handwritings on the wall, man. And when the world that should begin to vanish away shall be finished. So when it's all said and done, then will I show these tokens. So what are the tokens or the signs that the Lord is going to show to let us know beyond the shadow of a doubt that this place is finished? The books shall be opened before the firmament. What are the books? The Bible. What is the firmament? The ozone layer. What do you have in the ozone layer or in that area? Satellites. What do satellites do? They receive signals. They transmit signals. And those signals go around the planet Earth, dispersing information all over the place through a lot of these video epistles. So these are some of the signs that the Lord said would be happening to let us know. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the world is witnessing the coming of the Lord. The world is witnessing the rising of the Israelites. The world is talking about the Israelites because it can no longer be ignored. This truth is everywhere. And whether you have your Kanyes and your Kyries and your Kodaks and your Kendricks and the rest of these individuals speaking about this, and whether that's the insiders, the international bankers using that as an example to demonize Israel, irregardless, they're still garnering attention. It's getting the attention of the world. It's fulfilling prophecy. Matthew 24:14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So how is this being accomplished? By the internet, which is one of the signs that the Lord said would be happening to show that he's coming, that this world is finished. Let's read it again. 2 Ezra 6:20. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, when it's all said and done, then will I show these tokens, these signs. The books shall be opened before the firmament. The Bible shall be opened before the firmament, where the satellites are at, and they shall see all together. Why? Because the gospel must be preached to all the world in order for the end to come. Because you have the elect throughout the four corners of the earth. Yahweh, when he comes back, he's going to send the angels to gather the elect from the four corners of the earth. You see? So that's the point that we're at. And there's many other avenues you could go with this. You could deal with World War III. You could deal with the whole MOTB infrastructure that's set up around the world. With the famines and the shortages and, the pushing people to be in a desperate state to accept this NWO, with their branding, their slave brandings, and all. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom. And to water, to you brothers for all the precepts y'all put up. Salaki, I couldn't get to all of them. Shalom.